It's pretty easy to throw a poncho over one of these things and conceal it. One of the most used tools was a rock, just to bash things and bend things back to their original position. I never put safety first. I wouldn't ride a motorcycle if I put safety first, but just maybe. This gets 50 miles per gallon, so it's very, very fuel efficient. So if I needed an alternative form of travel, let's say fuel was at a premium, big, huge oil tanker, I'll be able to go nearly 300 miles now. Hello friends, welcome back. I am Jason and today I'm working on building the ultimate apocalypse motorcycle right here. I've got to fit my baggage on the bike to see how that goes, see if I've got any issues with some turn signals and stuff like that. And I've ridden the bike several times now. I've got about 350, 360 miles on it so far. And I've gone on 2 longer rides, and both of those rides I have run out of gas. So this little tank is only 2.5 gallons, and half a gallon of that is reserve. So and it gets about 50 miles to the gallon from normal riding. And at about 100 miles, I'm switching over to reserve. And a lot of the places that I ride, it's very easy to go over 100 miles between gas stops unless you're going off route specifically to go find fuel, and nobody has time for that. So in an effort to build the ultimate apocalypse motorcycle, I need an extended range. So today I am going to make a big effort to install this giant mumbo jumbo gas tank right here. This thing is awesome. It's 5.8 gallons. Pretty sure, yeah, 5.8 gallons, 22 liters. And that is going to be replacing this and getting rid of these little wind fairings going on here. So let's get started. Also going to be assembling a specific toolkit for this motorcycle. So I have exactly what I need and none of the stuff that I don't need. So as I work on the motorcycle, what I'm going to be doing is just taking notes. I'm going to write down a list of all the tools, all the sizes of sockets and wrenches and stuff that I use to disassemble this motorcycle. I'm going to make a list of that, and that way I can start assembling my toolkit. So I think it's really important for you to work on your vehicles, on your machines as much as possible so you can gain some insight on the ins and outs and how they work, how they function. So if something should go wrong, you are going to be much more capable of fixing yourself. And the tools required, like for example, when I was building my truck, I had to acquire some larger, more specific type tools. Not a lot, but a few tools that I didn't already possess because I didn't have this vehicle. Same thing with this motorcycle. I mean, for the most part, it's going to be your metric size ratchets and sockets that's going to be able to disassemble this entire thing. But there might be some machine specific tools that I need to acquire in order to be more self-reliant and be able to fix problems should they arise. I mean, one of the main reasons why I chose this motorcycle is because it's going to have very few issues. I'm going to be able to ride with proper maintenance, of course, routine maintenance. I'm going to be able to ride this thing for a long time without having any major issues. I almost guarantee it. Hondas are awesome. Oh, and before we get going too much further, big shout out to Southern Honda Power Sports for helping me out with this motorcycle and parts and stuff like this tank. That's where I got that. So in the future, any parts and stuff that I get, I'm going to be going to Southern Honda Power Sports in Chattanooga, Tennessee. So big shout out. They're awesome, really knowledgeable, really, really helpful people. Great group of people that work there. If you need help with something, give them a call. This is a really nice feature on this bike. These little tabs, a little quarter turn, pops those loose, and you can pull this whole panel off right here and access your air filter and your battery box right there. That's something else that I'm probably going to end up swapping out. This is like a paper cartridge type air filter. I'll probably swap that out for one that's cleanable, and that way I can get a little bit more life out of them. And I also have taken, I learned about this when I was getting ready for a big adventure ride in Baja, Mexico, is that you can take your standard foam air filters and you can put, basically it's like a pantyhose cover, an oiled pantyhose cover over the top of it, and you can just carry a bunch of those and swap those out. So if you're on a longer rides that are going to be dusty and dirty, you can just replace those pantyhose covers and just keep taking them, swapping them out, and wash them out in the sink and stuff like that. And it'll give you a lot more life out of your air filter, because once these air filters get completely clogged up, it really sucks the power out of the motorcycle, and you don't want that. Forgot to unhook the fuel line. That's kind of a big deal. Petcock off. These little guys right here, these little tabs with these bushings that held the original gas tank in place, are giving me some clearance issues, so those have got to go. I'm going to cut those off, and that should give me enough space to get that tank on there. Oh yeah. That is a significant improvement in mileage that I can cover. I'll be able to go nearly 300 miles now without having to stop for fuel, and that is huge. Closest color I've got. Just doesn't need to be pretty because you'll never see it, but I don't want it to rust. You know, one of the tools that we needed a lot on the last big adventure ride was a hammer. And that's a tool that nobody ever carries for some reason, I guess because they're big and heavy. One of the most used tools was a rock, just to bash things and bend things back to their original position. A hammer would have been so handy. That's going on the tool list for sure. I generally try to make it a habit to put blue Loctite on pretty much everything that I touch, because you don't want stuff rattling and falling off on the trail, that's for sure. This thing that I just installed, they're calling it a spacer. And it's just this metal pipe basically, and I guess it just keeps the tank spread apart enough, the two sides of the tank spread enough apart. But that raw metal edge against the plastic kind of makes me nervous. I've got these rubber caps. I thought maybe if there's room for them, I'll stick those on there, and that might prevent some rubbage. I don't know why. I'm not sure why it's designed the way that it is. But that looks better to me. And as long as I can get the tank on there and don't have any clearance issues, I feel like that's the way it should come. see if we can wrestle this giant jumbo tank on here. Looking pretty good. We gotta get these screws, these little bolts right here, through here and into the frame there. Maybe easier said than done. Definitely a snug fit. That is why I always use the mat underneath where I'm working, because if I drop it in the grass, it's gone forever. Those rubber caps that I put on that spacer might be what's holding it up just a little bit, but I still kind of want those there. All right, get on this motorcycle, and I want you to push down on the gas tank. All right, put all your weight on it. Just maybe. Yay, hey! I needed you. Thanks, buddy. There it is. Tank is on. We got to do some plumbing here in just a second, and then put the seat back on, and we're ready to rock. All right, like a dummy, I think I installed these petcocks backwards. I've got or on the opposite sides. I need to switch this one over to the other side because I need the fuel to run that direction. Out the other side. All of this dumb emissions crap is gonna go away, just not yet. It's right now it's in my way. I'm trying to get to this fuel line right here, and this nonsense, this un-American nonsense is in my way, but soon enough. I think all that really has to happen to delete this is a couple of bolts, like a plug on this front side here of the engine, and then that can all be gone soon. I've got the fuel line connected to the carburetor right there, and it's connected to the petcock that's on the far side there, and then I just got to cut this somewhere here and tee it off into the other side here. So for now, I think that'll be just fine. I think once this goes away, I might be able to shorten this one up a little bit and tuck it in just a little bit further, but I think that's gonna be fine for now. I wonder if I can do this without making a mess. Maybe? Meh? Probably should just put this in a gas can. That would be easier, faster. Mess doing that. Let's put some fuel in our tank. right, well, there you have it, friends. We've got the giant, big, huge oil tanker ready to ride right there. And I think it looks pretty dang good. Two comments that I received on the last video on this motorcycle was, one was the thing is white, and that's not very gray man and tactical. I get that. However, it's pretty easy to throw a poncho over one of these things and conceal it. So if I would say I was having to camp out in some place where maybe it wasn't allowed, perhaps, not that I would do that, but if I was gonna do that, I could throw a poncho over top of it and it would disappear essentially. The other thing is, I thought about putting, because you can get like earth tone or camo plastics and stuff for these kind of bikes, or I could just paint it, which would be super redneck and awesome. But the white is high vis, so when I'm riding down the road, I want other vehicles to be able to see me, and white is kind of, you know, hard to miss. So for that reason, for safety reasons, I never put safety first. I wouldn't ride a motorcycle if I put safety first, but for that reason, white I think is a good call. The other comment that I received on the video when discussing this motorcycle was, you know, doesn't Jason have a family? What's he gonna do, bug out and hop on his motorcycle and leave his family behind? No, absolutely not. I really don't have any intentions of bugging out ever, really. I mean, that's like worst case scenario, last resort. And for that reason, I would take a bigger vehicle in my whole family, of course. But having alternative forms of transportation such as this, something that's quiet, something that's fairly fuel efficient, more fuel efficient than any of our cars or trucks for sure. My truck gets 15 miles per gallon, runs on vegetable oil, but that's beside the point. This gets 50. Tank fell. Oh, whoops. This gets 50 miles per gallon, so it's very, very fuel efficient. So if I needed an alternative form of travel, let's say fuel was at a premium, you know, we weren't completely Mad Max and there weren't IEDs on the sides of the roads everywhere, but fuel was at a premium, really, really expensive, or perhaps just not very available, this would be a fantastic way to get around. So for that reason alone, that's a win in my opinion. So we're working on it. We're still building it. That's one big step in the right direction. That big fuel tank, that had to happen. I just can't run out of gas anymore. That's a real drag. So now I can go 250 up to 300-ish miles without having to stop for fuel, and that is huge. That's, you know, car range right there, and that's a big deal. So I'll work on luggage, how to transport gear and stuff, like how to carry my gear and camp gear and stuff like that. We're going to do some stuff with the handlebars, and we're going to put some off-road beefy, meaty tires on there. These are okay. They're kind of an all-terrain 50-50 kind of mixed tire. But for anything really off-road, and if it gets wet at all, these tires are going to be lame. So I'm going to put some really knobby, good-looking tires on there. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, guys. I really do appreciate you joining in. Tell me what you think about the Apoca bike, the ultimate apocalypse machine here. Let me know what you think the bike needs. Does it need anything at all? Is it ready to go as is? Make sure you leave lots of comments for me, guys. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I cannot wait to see you on the next one.